and be present in this moment. And if you're happy to do so, you're going to close your eyes. And with the eyes closed, you're going to notice how you feel in this moment today, right now. Perhaps you haven't asked yourself that question yet today. And this may be your first moment to just stop and pause and be with yourself in mind and body. How do your bones and muscles feel? Is there tension in areas of the mind or the body? Is there ease in areas of the mind and body? And perhaps there's an intention for yourself for the session today. Perhaps it's to just simply be attentive to you in this time we have together. And as we sit here with the eyes softly closed, start to deepen the breath down through the body to the pelvis, and from the pelvis up through the body and out through the mouth. Think about the breath weaving between each of the vertebrae of the spine, all the way to the tail, and weaving back up and out through the mouth. So the breath can address the spine. And as the breath weaves its way between each of the vertebrae, there's an expansion that ricochets outwards from each of the vertebrae, allowing you to gently inflate and expand. And as you're breathing out, it comes gently back in and narrows towards the spine and out through the crown of your head. And then we're going to do some progressive breathing now, where we deepen the breath further by counting the inhale and the exhale. In for 8, out for 8, and the same for 10 and for 12. Be sure that you're upright. Imagine that you're leaning up against a wall behind you. So the front of the spine is open, the collarbones are gently wide. Breathing in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, out, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. And then very gently and slowly, you're going to blink the eyes open and calmly and slowly come to lie down on your back with the knees bent and the feet hip socket width apart. So not as wide as your shoulders, but as wide as your sitting bones at the base of your pelvis. Lay your hands on the front of your pelvis, and we're going to notice how we've landed on the mat here today. So for most of you, you've done Pilates before, so you have your reference point of how you normally land on the mat, or perhaps you don't pause and notice normally. The nervous system responds so well when we notice before and afters. It helps to reinforce the work that we're doing. Breathing deeply in through the nose and out fully through the mouth, remembering the idea of the breath traveling the length of the spine. And then we're going to start some gentle mobility around the pelvis and the hips by rocking the pelvis back and forth. So this is pelvic clock. We start by letting the pubic bone rise and the lower back lengthen into the mat. And then reaching away, letting the sitting bones spread and widen, and then coming back again. The movement's initiated by the pelvis, so you can imagine that there's a marble resting on your pelvis between your pubic bone and your belly button, and you're rocking the marble gently forwards and back, and that will encourage the movement to be at the pelvis rather than your lower back. Then we can take that marble side to side, from hip bone to hip bone, gently rolling. Imagine the marble as it moves between your hip bones gently. It doesn't roll towards your belly button, just from side to side. Then begin a circular movement, rolling that marble around each of those points and all the points between. As you do this movement, can you do it with quiet knees? So the knees don't sway from side to side. They are quiet while the pelvis moves. Change direction. Quiet with the knees and look for the movement of the pelvis. We're beginning to invite mobility at the hip socket by moving the pelvis around in this way. Make this your last movement, circling around, and let the pelvis settle. We're then going to extend the left leg along the mat. We've got this beautiful stable pelvis now. Take your right foot off the floor so that you can just hold the right knee with your right hand. So instead of, that's great, thank you. I'll see you better if you move it down. Great. So now we're doing movement of the thigh bone in the hip socket versus the hip socket moving around the thigh bone. So the circling motion is small and it's deep inside the socket. It's really very small. And the movement of the thigh bone in the socket, that head of the femur is like, it's like ice on ice. That's how smooth this movement has the potential to be. I like to think about the hip socket like a bowl of melting chocolate, and I'm just stirring there. The left hip is quiet. Change direction of your circle. This left hip is quiet while the right one is gently circling. It's very small. There we go. Finish this circle and extend that right leg along your mat. Now, my right leg is now a good inch longer than my left, so hopefully you feel a little difference from the right to left. The right hip is more open, the right knee is closer to the mat. We've released a lot of tension. So then the right leg stays long and you pick up your left. So your left hand is on your left knee and gently circle. Stir the thigh bone in the socket whilst the pelvis is quiet. So it's the opposite of the pelvic clock. Here we're moving the thigh bone deep in the socket. This is a brilliant way to release any of the excess tension in the front of the hip. Hip flexors don't need to really be stretched. They need to be released. They need to yield and fall back into the hip socket. And this is a great way of doing it. Making sure as you're circling, you circle across your body as much as you open out. Let's go ahead and go in the other direction. Circling in the hip socket. Beautiful. Remember the ice on ice. That's how smooth the head of the femur is in the hip socket. Smooth as can be. Maybe you can think about the melting chocolate. Ice makes me shiver. Chocolate makes me hungry. It's a good image to think of the ease that's possible in the hip socket. And then we're going to release that leg out along the mat. Hopefully now both legs are about the same length. Yeah, feel the difference in that openness through the hips. Go ahead and bend your knees. Notice how you're landing on the mat now. You're going to feel much more ease into the natural curves of your spine now. We're just going to do a basic, I don't know what you guys will call them. We call them dead bugs and femur arcs, where you're basically maintaining that ease and stability through the pelvis as you roll the thigh bone back in the socket. It doesn't begin with the foot, so I want you to delay the lift of the foot and drop the femur back like an egg in an egg cup to float the foot up. It does not begin with the foot, it begins with the drop back into the hip socket and the foot lift. If you start by lifting the foot, you're just continuing the programming from everyday life where we're overusing the hip flexors, whereas here, drop back in the socket like a seesaw, counterbalance. The thigh bone's heavy in the socket and the foot comes up. And then for an extra challenge and flavor with this, I think we can add the second leg lifting. So we come up with one, then the other, down with one, down with the other, up with one, then the other, down with one, then the other, and keep going from one to the other. I think my Wi-Fi just went out. Are we all still here? Yes. I think Monday night is like the hot night for Wi-Fi, because I do a class every Monday night and it always seems to have problems. And I have no problems any other night. Last two, nice and simple, thigh bones lead. And then the feet land on the mat. So now we've got a really wide, easy pelvis, natural curve in the lower back. That's not going to change. You're going to clasp your hands behind your head And really support the weight of your head here. This is a butterfly that we're going to do now. The elbows are going to go out wide down to the mat, and then they're going to go out wide up towards the ceiling. Your head's still down in your hands. It's just what the elbows are doing, like a butterfly flapping its wings. Reaching the elbows, reach them out and wide, and reach them out and up. Reach them out and wide, and reach them out and up. Now notice what's happening with your spine between your shoulder blades as the elbows go out and wide. There's a feeling of extension where that part of the spine wants to move away from the mat. So the spine between your shoulder blades moves away from the mat, and it moves in as the elbows go up. So you're just noticing that natural occurrence between the shoulders as you do this movement. Now let's find the middle point here where the shoulder blades are coming around the ribs, and there's a slight feeling of rounding between the shoulders. Then we can learn how to roll the head up. So imagine that your eyeballs are like the first vertebrae of your spine, and they're going to roll looking towards your chest. Then the head rolls up and looks towards your pelvis, and then you roll back down. So the first thing that happens before the head lifts is you look down like you're looking down your nose at something, and then you roll up. And that's going to alleviate any issues with your neck overworking as you do a chest lift. I'm going to come and watch. I'm going to peer down the screen. So if you're looking at the ceiling, at your knees, at anything other than your pelvis as you roll up, then that's when we can get a little crick in the neck. So no cheating. Look down your cheekbones like you're trying to look at your nose, and the hands are literally holding the weight of your head. They're not decorating, they're not, you know, on the side of your head. When I see that on like fitness videos, I'm like, what is even the point? Everything for me has to have a why. I was so annoying at school. I went to Perth High School, those of you that are from that area. There we go. Okay, I'm loving that. I think you're all with me. One more time. And then the head lands, and all you're going to do is unfold the arms up towards the ceiling. Remember that feeling that you've got of the space between the shoulders down into the mat. It's going to stay there as you exhale the arms over your head, and then inhale them back up again. Exhale the arms over the head. It's the job of the shoulder blades to move. They're the most mobile bone in your body, and isn't it the shoulders we notice being stiff often? So we have to think here about how the shoulder blades can really fill the armpits to take the arms overhead. So there's no need for your ribs to lift here. You don't have to force them down. You just need to teach your shoulder blades how to move, and then the arms will go. We're going to do this twice more. Once more. And then we're going to scissor. So one arm goes up overhead and the other arm goes down by your side. Palms facing in, and it's the shoulder blades that are going to be doing the movement. You don't have to force your ribs down ever. We just need to teach the shoulder blades. We use the image a lot of the shoulder blades being like wet lathery bars of soap, and the more you move your arms, the more lather there is, and they're just like these free, smooth, floating bones on your ribs. Yes. Twice more to even out. And then we're going to do everybody's favorite. We're going to do bridging. You thought I was going to say the 100 there, but don't worry, it is coming. Okay, we're going to bring the feet now a bit closer to your bottom. Only as close as you can where there's no excess tension around the front of the knee. So the heels are roughly underneath your knees if that's available. If not, just wherever it is. We're not going to be tilting the pelvis first. That's not how I want the bridge to happen today. I want you to start by pushing your feet down and your shins forward so that the power in your big strong legs can tip the pelvis as you go up. It's not the first thing that happens. And then you melt the spine back down. Stand on your feet, send your shins forward to tip the pelvis gradually as you go up. On the way down, melt that area between your shoulder blades down into the mat that we talked about before. Stand in your feet, shins forward, pelvis will rock back, but it's super easy, there's no effort. Breathing the spine down. So you exhale and the spine will melt down. Remember the breath we talked about at the beginning? We talked about the feeling of the breath traveling and weaving through all of the vertebrae of the spine from nose to tail each time. The breathing can be out to go up and out to come down. The top of, so this is bridging versus shoulder bridge. So we're not extending the spine. So bridging is about the articulation up and down and its flexion. So we're stopping on the platform between the shoulder blades. We're not coming up onto the tops of the shoulders, just landing on the shoulder blades. You've got it. That's different. Yeah. So that means your ribs and your pelvis stay connected rather than letting the ribs disconnect away from the pelvis and arch. We're keeping that connection in. I'm going to do a couple more as a demonstration in case anybody's not sure. So we're coming to here where the hips and the ribs are connected versus here where they're disconnected. We're staying here and I'm on the platform between the shoulder blades. If we go straight up past that point, what happens is we miss the bit of the spine that needs to learn how to move through flexion. Okay, so we're going to bring the knees in towards the chest now. Grab the back of your thighs, and we're going to do assisted roll up. The legs are going to stay married together, and you're going to dip your toes down towards the floor, but keep your hands locked into your thighs. And you're going to reach a point where there's nowhere else to go but up. So you then do the chest lift you did before, the feet keep going to the floor, and then before you know it, you're sitting. It's not momentum, it's not rolling like a ball, or it's assisted roll up. So we then, well done, we then roll back, straightening the arms so we're suspended off ourselves. The feet slide in and then peel away. So what we have to imagine is that the feet are really heavy and they lift us up. There's obviously a little bit of something else that has to happen too. Well done, you did it. Great. And again, same thing. Roll your pelvis away from your legs and your arms straighten, and then the feet come in. That was it. And then rolling back up. So the legs start. I always cheat and start with my head. It's the legs that start, then the head follows. This is the last one, and we'll come back to it again later. We're going to do mermaid. Traditionally, we would have the legs in a Z sit. If that's available, go for it. If it's not, sit with your legs crossed. Any issue with the knees, then just sit on a cushion or a chair. It really doesn't matter. But you choose what feels available to you. So that means when you're in a start position, is there potential for movement from there? If we start super tight and stiff and stuck, that's not a great place for the body to find movement. So sit some way that feels possible. So if we're in a Z sit, just for ease, because we're like this, if everybody has the left leg in front and the right leg behind, if your legs are crossed, have your left leg in front and your right leg behind. That's wicked, isn't it? There you go. We're all there. Reach your arms out to the side. Find length in your arms. And we're going to be going to the left into a mermaid. So we take it up and over. The hand is meeting the floor. So put the hand on the floor and then push the floor away to create more stretch through the side of the body. And then slowly come back up. We're just going to be going that direction with the first one. So we go up and over. Now imagine that the back of your body is against a wall, or that you're between double glazing. You'll have heard that before. Keep going over and then back up again. Let's do it with some breath. Inhale to the left. Exhale, back up again. Inhale to the left, exhale, back up again. Like the dead bugs femur arcs we did before, we were talking about the thigh bone leading. I want you to think about the pelvis leading you back up to sitting. So instead of it coming from this hand, and then we're still a bit scrunched up, can you think about it leading from the pelvis? So it's your heavy counterbalance that brings you back up once more. And back up. I mean, so many things that we can say about a mermaid. Very important movement. So change your legs the other way. We're becoming so sagittal, you know, forward and back, forward and back. It's rare that we get these chances to move into the side of the body. So settling in, cross your legs the other way, or Z sit the other way. If you need a cushion underneath you for your comfort, then please do so that you're in a position where you can move. Reach the arms out, same thing other side. Coming up and over, we can go straight away with the inhale over, exhale back up, because we've got the benefit of hindsight on the second side. And maybe here we can address the movement of the ribs a little bit more. So the ribs are moving in two directions. As you go over, the upper ribs move and open up into your armpit, and the lower ribs are moving down towards your pelvis. So can you find that idea? It's like a fan opening, where the bottom ribs go down and the top ribs come up. Looking good. The arm is not covering the face, it's framing the face beautifully, like a pretty mermaid on a rock. That's it. Let's just do one more. Very nice. And then swing back round to seated. We're going to do the assisted roll up, but we're not going to go all the way back, because we're actually going into the 100 or variations of the 100. So the legs are married together, zipped up through the middle, and you're going to roll back until you're on your shoulder blades. Your legs are already lifted, and you're going to beat the arms here. In 2, 3, 4, 5, out. 2, 3, 4, 5, keep going. You've got options here to extend your legs. You've also got options to hold your head like we did for our chest lift and just do the breathing. But I do want to see your legs married together. Yeah, zip the legs all the way together. So I prefer you to do 2 legs only, not a single leg variation. So marry them together, suction them, zip them up. There we go. Love it. Keep breathing. Somebody counting. Forgot about that. Pilates teachers are the worst counters in the world. Look at your pelvis, everyone. One more deep breath. Well done. And then you can hug your knees in towards your chest. It's like the running joke in the Pilates teaching community that none of us can count. Okay, So we're going to bring the arms down by the side and simply roll across your pelvis from side to side. The knees aren't hugged up towards your chest, so you're in a round back. They are just balanced above your hip socket, so you can genuinely roll across your pelvis. When we go side to side, your head is going in the opposite direction. Oh, I'm loving this tandem side to side that's happening. Beautiful. Okay. So again, what I realize I am now famous for saying marry your legs together, because somebody DM'd me on Instagram to say, I love that cue. So anyway, the legs are so much more meaningful to the center of your body if you zip them in, if you connect them in. If the legs are kind of flailing and just there, you've loosened your center and your core connection. So here, if we marry them together, we're going to get far much more wealth out of this movement side to side. So let's just do a couple more. A little bit. And then place one foot down, then the other, roll over onto your side. So we're going to have the knees bent, and you're going to support your head with your arm or a cushion, whatever you need to. And make sure initially that you've stacked your hips one on top of each other. There we go. And you're looking forward. We're just cradling the head underneath. It really requires a lot of shoulder flexibility for you to come up into that classical position here, which some of us can probably do, but it's a beginner's class, so we're going to give ourselves a break and come down here. The bottom leg needs to anchor into the mat, so there's the down pressure through the bottom leg, which will activate and lift the waist and activate and lift the top leg, and then relax. Down pressure into the bottom leg to lift the top leg. So we know if we were stood up and we were going to stand on one leg, we'd properly put the weight in that leg before we lifted the other one. Same principle here. So stand in that bottom leg, lift the top leg. Now we're going to do something with it. We're going to straighten it. We're going to lift it and lower it here. Keep the foot flexed as we lift and lower here. Push away through the heel, like there's something you're trying to reach that heel to as you press away. And then we're going to flex to go up, point to go down, flex to go up, point to go down, just for fun. And then we're going to point to go up, flex to go down, pointing the foot to go up, flexing the foot to go down. Keep looking forward. And imagine again that the back of the ribs are open into an imaginary wall behind you. And then we're going to lift the leg up, and we're going to keep the toes pointed for 5 little circles here. Remember, the bottom leg is anchored down. 5 in each direction. Keep reaching the toes away. And when you progress onto the underneath leg being straight, it should still have that same anchoring sensation that you have now with the leg bent. Okay, then we're going to kick forwards and back. Flex the foot forward, point the foot back. Flex the foot forward, point the foot back. Flex forward, point back. And it can go slightly behind you. As long as the rib cage is still in the body, the back of the ribs are drawing the front of the ribs in. It's never a push. It's always calming from the back. Last time. And then rest there. We're going to go ahead and roll over to do the other side. You can just roll over. I'm going to flip around so that I can see you. You can do the same if you prefer. So we come into that sideline position On the other side, the feet are flexed to start with. And find the underside of the body and find the back side of the body. Open the back ribs out behind you so the front ribs just get enveloped in. Stand on the bottom leg and the top leg lifts and the waist lifts. Down into the bottom leg. So we teach a lot of ground reaction force as, I don't know, some of you will already know I'm a Polestar educator. So Polestar Pilates is come out of Miami, and it incorporates lots of different elements within it. It's physiotherapy led originally, but our goal is always to really get people to move, and then we're going to lift the leg, extend the leg, and we're taking the leg up and down. Yeah, so our goal is still the same as anybody else. We want to get people moving, but we want to teach you how, the most efficient ways. And then we're going to do flex to go up, point to go down, flex to go up, point to go down, and really reaching the heel away. Ribs, the back of the ribs are opening out behind you, which you're going to bring the front ribs along. And then point to go up, flex to go down. Everybody loves a side kick. So important. The lateral line of the body, so how everything connects in the side of the body. It's a kind of weaker area. And when we do these movements, it's going to help strengthen that and improve our ability to balance and all sorts. And then we're going to lift the leg for circles. Keep pointing the toe, reaching away, circling 5 little circles. Remember that anchoring down into the bottom leg is really important. When you've done 5 one way, you're going to do 5 the other way. And then we get to do our kicks. Flex forward, point back, anchor into your bottom leg. This is the same as the movement we did at the beginning where we were moving the thigh bone in the socket and the pelvis was stable. It's just a longer lever. We'll make this the last one. Big kick forward, big kick back, and rest there. Coming on to all fours. Hands are underneath the shoulders, knees are underneath the hips, and we're going to gently rock the pelvis forwards and back, or the body forwards and back. And just looking for the weight shifting between the shins and the hands. And as we're doing that movement, you're going to keep your hip bones lifting away from your thigh bones. So instead of sinking back and arching your lower back as you rock back, you're going to keep the hip bones lifted and find the movement more through the pelvic floor and the hip sockets, and much less through the lower back. Then go ahead and find the middle point where the weight is distributed evenly between the hands and the shins. And then we're going to do a cat stretch, nice and simple, nice and gentle, turning the pelvis around, imagining that you're going around a big beach ball and then lengthening it out. But again, keep the hip bones away from your thigh bones. You're not going to arch the back. You're just coming to that midpoint. And then again, curving, lengthening your tailbone out and around. A long curve in the spine. And then coming back out of it again. Hip bones away from your thigh bones. Last one now, cat stretch. Long curve. Look for the pelvis leading the movement. And then lengthening out. Okay, go ahead and lie on your front. Rest your head on your hand so you make a diamond shape. Rock your hips from side to side. And then let your legs kind of lengthen out. Often what we do is tuck the toes under and stretch the legs back to feel nice and open through the front of the hips. And settle in onto the front of the body. It's the first time you've laid down on your front. So it's just about landing here and arriving and feeling the sensations of the body meeting the mat on the front versus the back. So here what often happens is that the ribs will sink down into the mat and the lower back is going to then be compressed. So if we can think about the heaviness of the pubic bone and the lower ribs becoming light, we're going to stay nice and long in that lower back. Okay. Now imagine like a mother cat picks up the kittens by the scruff of the neck. I want you to gently just lift up the scruff of your neck without changing your pelvis or your ribs. And then we're going to spiral the upper arms back to lift your heart forward. So we're doing a little extension. It's called diamond press. And then go down just to where the neck had been lifted, the scruff had been lifted. Use the arms so they pull the mat underneath you towards your waist to roll the arms back and lift the chest forward. If you're not sure, do come close to your camera and check. So I'm not pushing on my arms because that will make my spine round. I'm pulling the elbows towards my waist, and then I'm truly extending in that area of the spine between the shoulders. Twice more. Yes, you're getting it. Yeah. Do one more and just let your gaze come up a tiny little bit if it was just looking straight down. And then have a rest. Fantastic. Now what we're going to do is keep the head resting and do a little flavor with the legs. Your feet are going to stay down on the mat. So this will potentially be different to what you've done before. Don't lift the feet off. Keep them down. You're going to lift your sit bones up towards the ceiling. So your hamstrings are going to lift. So there's going to be a lengthening and a tightening and a levitating feeling, but you're not lifting your feet off. What you do when you lift your feet off is you just bend your knees. You don't get the length through the front of the hip. When you get that feeling of heavy pubic bone, lift your sit bones up, you're ready to do heel clicks. Open and close nice and quickly. Open and close. I want to see. So we're all down on the mat. Heads are resting. Pubic bone's heavy. Ribs are in. Off the mat. Don't lift your feet. Lift your sit bones. And that will connect your hamstrings to lift your legs off a fraction. And then you do your heel beats. That's it. So tiny, quick, rapid movement, open and close, you're doing it. So just concerting when my face is right up against the camera. I'm too busy looking at you that I don't realize that I'm frowning down. Well done, everyone. That's so great. Rest your bottom back towards your heel. Have a child pose. Move your bottom side to side. We are going to go over time because we started late. If you need to leave, I'll not be offended. We're only going to go about another 5 minutes, but it's fine if you have to go. We're going to do some rolling because it's fun. Just want to quickly show you, because I know some of you that are teachers might find it useful to understand, and just for our own reference up, because we all walk and this is important. We can bend the knees really easily because we sit with the knees bent. We all have a shortened stride because we don't get opportunities to open and lengthen. So when we come lie on our front in this way, and we do something where we're lifting the legs, what tends to happen is we lift up, we think that the legs are straight, like we could interpret this as straight legs, but it's not. That would be straight legs. Can you see the difference? Bent, straight. And we can lift from the sit bones and activate the hamstrings to lift up rather than floppy hamstring, floppy bottom, and lifting from the feet. So it's just for your reference to have a think about. We're going to do some rolling. We'll not do it again. We don't need to do that again, but just think about it for another time when you do another class or whatever. Rolling like a ball is just so much fun. If you, everybody's on a mat or something squidgy, aren't they? Hopefully carpet or a mat. All right. So you're going to hug your legs in tight towards you and make a ball shape. You can cross over, but I'm not going to make you. You just do what works for you today. And basically what's going to happen is you let your feet lift off the floor until you're off balance. And then when you're off balance, you roll back and then balance. Roll back and then balance. Look for it being a straight roll back and then balance. You're balancing on the back of your pelvis, and then you have a split second on the back of your shoulders when you're back there too, where there's like a millisecond moment. It's like the bridging that we did earlier, and I said to you really clearly when we were here, we were balancing between your shoulder blades, not coming up here. It's the same thing, balancing between the shoulder blades, not at the top of the shoulders. So you just find that moment. It doesn't begin with the head going back. It's going to begin with the knees going up and back. So the ball is tight. You can think about the feet pushing up into the, the shins pushing up into the hands, but it's not a throwback. It's much fun. There you go. Two more. Enjoy them. They're really just for fun. Okay. And then come to sitting again with the legs crossed. You guys are amazing. Okay, so sit with the legs crossed. If it's not available, sit in any other way that is, and place your hands just on your sternum. Think of the back of the body again, opening up to an imaginary wall behind you. And we're going to do spine twist, like a basic gentle spine twist. So we're turning around and looking all the way over your shoulder and then returning to center. Turning around, looking all the way over your shoulder and then return to center. Going up and around. Think of your ribs turning around and then back to the center. Keep going. Imagining your ribs are like the ribbons of a maypole, and the ribbons have to go out to go round. That's what's happening here. The ribs have to go out and around, or it's like going around a roundabout. You have to go left to go right, so you have to go out to go around. And that's going to create optimal movement through the spine. Everybody turn to your left, and you're staying in that spine twist to your left, but turn your head back to the right. And then turn back to the left. Head to the right, head to the left. Head to the right, then to the left, and bring the spine back to center. Then we do the same on the other side. Turn to the right, and keep the body to the right. Turn the head to the left, head to the right, head to the left, head to the right, head to the left, head to the right, and turn back to center. Well done, everyone. So we're going to come into a little crouch position, and we're going to roll up to standing to finish. So you come into a wee bit of a crouch. Hands are on the floor, but they're not going to have to stay there. Head's going to hang down towards the floor. And then you begin to straighten out your legs, leaving your head hanging, but the legs don't have to straighten. Let the hands peel away from the floor as you then rebuild your spine slowly and gradually up to standing. Then we'll roll down and we'll do it one more time. So let your head be heavy and roll down towards the floor. The knees can bend at any point. Rolling back up, sending your feet down like we did with bridging. Feet down, shins forward, hip bones up, sit bones down. And stand tall with the back of the ribs open behind you, allowing the front of the ribs to sit in. We're going to take the arms up towards the ceiling, open your chest to the ceiling, and then bring the arms down, pressing the air away. And again, lifting up, lift your heart, and then pressing the air away. And that's where we're going to finish, everyone. I'm going to unmute you all.
Thank you. Thank you, Claire.
You're so welcome. It's lovely to see you all. I like to finish all of my classes with one finishing word from everybody. So I'm going to say your name, assuming that I can and you can hear me. I think I've unmuted everyone. So I like to finish just with one closing word, any word, the first thing that comes into your head. It might be tea time or whatever it is. It's all good. Just tell me a word. Lynn.
Fabulous.
Elaine. And your other half?
Sleepy.
Cool. That's great. Shirley.
Blissful.
I like that. Chi.
Brilliant.
Martha and Co.
Cheers.
Resilient.
Joko.
Smile.
Great. Well, it says Andy on the screen. Is that right? Up at the top with the fitness machine in the background.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Thank you. Is it Michelle?
Yeah, relaxing.
Oh, great. And Julie.
Mobile.
Oh, that's nice. Yoakum?
Gratitude.
It's so lovely to see you all this evening. Thank you for coming and really thank you for supporting the work that Yoakum's doing. This is like totally over and above and amazing what he's doing right now. So any support that we can all give is really, really valuable. So thank you all for coming and supporting.
Oh, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.